And then we have this intern that the mayor doesn't even know. Never met him until he was confronted, and now he admits it. And that's what we're here to talk about today. We finally got records related to the intern. Now, the city says that, just make sure I'm clear about exactly what the city says. The city says as follows: Marvin Agumagu did not have a city cell phone while he was at the mayor's office, and thus there are no text messages pertaining to city business for that time frame on his personal cell phone. So I ask you this: why is he texting the mayor at 11 o'clock at night on a Sunday? Then it wasn't city business, it must be personal business. You follow? And I urge each reporter and news entity here to ask the city why the mayor refuses to release his text messages. I only have one record of one text, and I don't have the subject because you can see how heavily redacted it is. But I know for a fact that this mayor and this intern were exchanging text messages at 11 o'clock at night on a Sunday. And according to the city, those texts were not business or city business related. You draw your own conclusions. But that's not why we came here. I came here to tell you that if you can get a $95,000 a year job just because you emailed the city's, basically the mayor's right-hand man, and the mayor's right-hand man can email the executive director of the airport, Mario Diaz, not the Mario Diaz in our presence here, and they can create you a job during a hiring freeze at the same time that they're threatening to lay off 400 firefighters, at the same time that they're refusing to graduate 2 cadet classes from the Firefighters Academy, and you can have a job created like that for $95,000 a year. Boy, wouldn't we all love to have that? I can only imagine if my father who made $20,000 a year his entire life, cutting meat for 43 years, standing on his feet, could get a $95,000 a year job. Imagine the opportunity. But there's more. Marvin Agumagu is a world traveler, now that we know. We have his travel records. He traveled to Austin, Denver, Fort Worth, Tampa, Los Angeles, Miami, Berlin, Manila, Philippines, and Washington, D.C., most of the time business class. How many of you have traveled overseas business class? You know how much expensive that is? Stayed at some of the fanciest hotels. What an internship that was. You see my point? We have a real problem in the city of Houston. We have a real problem. And before I talk about how we're going to change this, I want to make sure that we're all clear. We're going to release this to all press entities. But when Marvin traveled to Tampa, Florida, he listed on his justification, and incidentally, every single time he exceeded the travel allotment. Every single time. The city's travel allotment. One of the things he wrote was, as an intern, learning the business of aviation. We're paying this person $95,000 a year as an intern. He spent, since November of 2018, 35 days traveling all over the world. We're paying him to, quote, as he says, learning the business of aviation because he knows nothing about aviation whatsoever. Do you wonder why we can't put more police on the streets? Do you wonder why we can't fix our streets? Do you wonder why that we're in the litigation with our firefighters because we don't pay them fairly? Do you wonder why we have not prepared ourselves for the next flood and we haven't helped but 15 people from the last flood? This is why. This is why. So what are we going to do about it? We have to do something about it. Here's what I propose. We're going to have an immediate hiring freeze. Immediate. A real hiring freeze. Not the type of hiring freeze that the mayor had when he hired Marvin Agumagu and many others. An immediate and real hiring freeze with the exception of public safety professionals. A real and immediate hiring freeze for 18 months. When I become your mayor, we're going to have an 18-month hiring freeze. We're not hiring anybody else. We're going to prohibit creating jobs in any department, creating jobs out of a whole cloth like this without any oversight. We're going to end every single perk, whether that means a personal car, a personal credit card, whatever it may be. We're ending those immediately. We're going to end all unnecessary travel. All travel will be reviewed before it's approved. You're not going to travel and then ask for reimbursement. You will not travel unless it is approved in advance, and I assure you that very few travel requests will be approved. Until there is a third-party independent audit, these measures will remain in effect. And until there is a process audit of every single department, meaning front to back, what is it you do? What value do you bring to the city of Houston? If you bring no value, we end your program, period. That's what we're going to do. We're going to ask for the resignation of each department head, every single department head, and then you can reapply. And I can already assure you that I will not rehire this fire chief, I will not rehire this airport director, and I will not rehire this police chief. But I'm asking for every resignation of every department head, and they can reapply. My guess is, based on how this city is run, not very many of them will be rehired.